Hello everybody! In today's video we are going to continue with our series on the history of Islam, and previously we have spoken regarding the revelation of the Quran. We spoke about some of the topics and contents of the Quran, such as prayer, the Last Judgment, and other topics. Today we will talk about the what the scholars, the historians, call the two historical periods of the revelation. One is known as the Meccan period and the other one as the Medinan period of revelation historically. And the Meccan period goes from the year 610 up to the year 622. That is the time of the Akhirah, when the community have to move from Mecca to the city of Medina. And then there is a second period known as the Medinan period that goes from the year 622 up to the year 632. So we're talking here approximately of 23 years of revelation. That is the total years of the revelation up to the death of the Prophet. And we have that scholars have come to identify different surahs, chapters of the Quran that deals with different topics according to the period in which it was revealed. For example, the Meccan period from 610 up to 622, scholars say that when we analyze and look carefully into the different surahs, the content, the message, we notice that most of the message of the revelation that we got at this time is mainly dealing with matters of faith, of love, encouragement, trying to win the hearts of the people, make them understand the message and appeal to their hearts in order to attract them to God, to the message. Therefore, we have a set of instructions such as, of course, to believe in God, worship God, prayer, different beliefs, and how to behave ethically, etc. But from the moment of the Akhirah and after, what is known as the Medina, the period of Medina, then we have what is known as the application, practically, of all that was already revealed in the previously. And we have in Medina the actual doing of all these different instructions. That's why we have, when we look, for example, Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah number 2 of the Quran that was revealed in Medina, what we have there is simply, we notice a lot of things that happen in Medina. They talk about the hypocrites and the enemies and how to deal with the community, how to implement certain things legally, but also matters related to culture. We have dealings between the Muslims, how to interact with non-Muslims, the community, marriage, and many topics that deals with civic laws and the implementation of the instructions of the revelation that was already previously revealed back in Mecca. And this is what the historians emphasize and say, look, there is a shift in the approach of the Quran from the moment that the Muslim community moves to Medina. And it's also that we have to understand the historical context, and that is why what we have in the Quran is not enough. There are some, like we could say, things that are not clear. And what I mean by this is that someone who reads the Quran just simply like that might not be able to understand really everything if he doesn't even also knows the context, the history, the culture of the people, the period, the historical moment, the context of everything that was taking place at the moment, so to be able to have a fully grasp of all the details that are in the Quran. Therefore, that is why even the Quran states that God didn't reveal all the things not because he forgot, but because of mercy for the people. So in this case, that's why commentaries of the Quran were needed. And that's why we have great commentaries such as Ibn Kathir, Al-Qurtubi, and others that have to bring commentaries to explain what is the meaning of the Quran, because some things were not clear. People could not understand. And that's why the greatest scholars, the ulama, who took upon themselves the task to comment and to explain the meaning of the verses of the Quran, they emphasize that for whoever wants to study the Quran, he must also know the history, the context, the culture of everything that was taking place at the moment. And they took upon themselves, like as I mentioned, the task to explain for the common people the different passages that seem a little difficult to understand, to grasp, because of the importance of acquiring the adequate knowledge to be able to fully grasp the meaning of the Quran. And even with these commentators on the Quran, we know that still the Sunnah, the Hadiths, and the Hadith, it's very important to be able to situate ourselves in context with the different teachings and doings of the Prophet and the early community of Islam at the beginning, how it was developing. Because it was not, the context in Mecca was not the context in Medina, historically and culturally. And even there's an evolution in the beliefs and ideas of the Muslim community, as we emphasize. For example, in Medina, the Muslims in Mecca used to pray towards Jerusalem. In Medina, it was changed, not from Jerusalem to the Kaaba in Mecca. And like that, many other regulations that took place and explanations, and we have that allegiances took place in Medina, tribes, and the community grew, and therefore there is a development, there is a change, and therefore all of these must be taken into consideration at the moment that someone studies and reads the Quran. And that's why the tafsir, the commentaries on the Quran, are so important for whoever wants to, either for the Muslim practitioner, for the believer, but also for the academics, for simply anyone who is interested in Islamic studies. He must have a broad knowledge of all these topics, not to mention, of course, Arabic language, but also the culture and the historical events that took place that shaped the Muslim community, and we see that in the Quran. And this is what the scholars emphasize when we analyze and we study historically these two periods known as the Meccan period and the Medinan period, in order to be able to try to approximate and to understand better the context of the Quran. In a future video, we are going to look more into the different teachings of the Quran, for example, regarding marriage, regarding war, family ties, civil laws, because this is all within the context of this period known as the Meccan period, which is the actual practical application of the previous revelations that were revealed in Mecca. Therefore, in Medina, we have the actual, like I said, application of the different instructions. And regarding these and other matters, hadiths and more, we will discuss in future videos, God willing. As always, I want to thank you so much for your attention, and God willing, we'll see each other in the next video.